Let's rock, baby.
Hello everyone, I'm Ryan Wolf, and welcome to my channel, as well as my first ever analysis/think piece video covering style and its origins in video games, as well as my thoughts on how these sorts of systems have been handled within the past few generations of gaming. When you think of a style system in a video game, one of the first series that should come to mind, should you be familiar with it, is Devil May Cry. It was a pioneer of this newfound character action game. In this game, you play as Dante, a cool as hell devil hunter, wielding guns, swords, and the power to transform into a devil himself and become even cooler. The game, through this character and his cocky, carefree attitude, is subconsciously putting in the minds of players that they want to feel just as cool as this character acts as they play as him. The game initially is quite challenging. Throughout the game, you get a series of new weapons, new guns, and new skills to play around with. And come the end of it, you're fully decked out, ready to play higher difficulties, defeat every demon in your wake, and look and feel as cool as the actual Dante while doing it. What's your motivation to be so stylish? Well, the style meter. Every hit you land on an enemy, this little grade base meter shows up to let you know how dull, cool, bravo, absolute, or stylish you're playing. This meter acts as a basis for how repetitious your combat is. If you repeat the same free hit combo or stinger, you'll remain in those low rankings. Come the end of the mission, you get a mission rank, with the highest being a triple S rank. Historically, this game is very significant as, like I said earlier, it was somewhat a pioneer of this newfangled 3D action, kind of a fighter, but not really a fighter game. It really felt like with this ranking system, you were incentivized to do your best on every mission, replaying the game multiple times until eventually you reach the hardest difficulties, where enemies get less staggerable, bosses get new moves and more health of course, and you, yourself, get stronger. Don't get hit. Don't use healing items. Learn enemy and boss attacks. Be efficient. Be stylish. Be great. Be Dante. It's all great in theory, until you take one teeny tiny piece of information into consideration. Devil May Cry, the first one at least, does not rank you based on your combat. The game and the purpose of its combat to be stylish is a lie. Devil May Cry? More like Devil May Lie. Nailed it. There are two factors the game ranks you on: time and red orbs collected. Style isn't taken into consideration whatsoever. So why then does it even attempt to incentivize creative combat through the style meter? Well, it really doesn't. Let's take a look at the two. Red orbs collected first. These little skulls can be collected throughout the overworld, as well as via enemies defeated. Their primary function is to buy weapon, health, and devil trigger upgrades for Dante. These are their only purpose, and once a player is fully decked, their purpose is gone. To the player, they don't matter. And based off of my research, to the game itself, they don't either. On this 100% all S-rank speedrun, we see the threshold for red orbs is not too important, to say the least. Now, of course, this may seem unfair. A speedrun is much different and more planned out than a casual player playing the game, to which I may respond, so, speedrunners were once casual players too. They're not special. And if you want so desperately to, say, get all S ranks in Devil May Cry, then isn't a speedrun the peak example of what you yourself want to be, gameplay-wise? Just look at this stylish gameplay the game so desperately wants from you. Timer. Not your combat. The timer. is what the game really looks at. In Devil May Cry, this action-adventure game, you're being judged not on your gameplay, but the speed of it. An element that restricts how you play it. Would you not agree? In this game, where the purpose is to be stylish, you are restricted to finding not the most stylish way out of situations, but the speediest. And cheap, some may say. Combat doesn't matter in Devil May Cry. Time does. Like it's fucking Sonic the Hedgehog in a game where the standard walking speed is this. But the fastest walking speed is this. Now, Devil May Cry 1 was one of the first games to really make you feel like its combat mattered for a rather superfluous ranking system. There's been a good 19 years of progression since then. More character action and Devil May Cry games have come out since. Let's take a look at how they rank players.
Do you naughty little angels deserve a good spanking?
Beautiful.
Bayonetta takes style in a much different direction to Devil May Cry. It embraces elegance through combat. While you can play the game with as fast of combat as possible, there's a sort of fluidity to combos in Bayonetta. Especially with the not so well known dodge offset mechanic, where holding a button during a dodge can continue the combo chain, whereas if you just let the button go, the combo would break and you'd reset. It has elements of DMC in it, of course, a cool main character, tight combat with plenty of variety, and that encourages experimentation, tunes, and style. And the style meter. However, here it is a lot more mathematical compared to Devil May Go Fast. For one, it actually takes your combos into consideration. Yes, I know DMC3 does this as well. We'll talk about that later. Good start. However, the reliance on ranking based on time once again rears its gross head. Bayonetta is a much speedier game than Devil May Cry. Enemies are faster, Bayonetta herself is faster, and combos are faster. I firmly believe that compared to Devil May Cry, the time ranking here is much more justified. However, to rank based on time when the focus is be creative, and when you are actively punished for not being creative already, the time mechanic is just a crux at that point that puts stress on players to play not as optimally as they may like. The final element looked at is how much damage you yourself take. This is perfectly fine to rank you on. This is the game telling you do not get hit, which for a feel cool, beat the fuck out of everything game is optimal, to say the least. At least when it comes to your own gameplay. Bayonetta is compared to Devil May Cry a lot, I know. However, these two games are not the same. If you play Bayonetta like Devil May Cry, you're gonna have a bad time. This does not make either game better over the other, however, it does give them their own merits. However, with both, while they emphasize the style systems as important, in Bayonetta, the ranking system is just as vapid as good old DMC1, purely because of that time ranking. From one platinum game to the next, we have Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, an action game spin-off to a stealth game series. This game is pretty, how do I put it? It's pretty insane. I love it. It is, how you say, raw. However, compared to the past example of Bayonetta and the future examples of every other Devil May Cry game, it's not as mechanically refined, to say the least. The game during combat feels great. You're stringing together combos, slicing shit up, jamming to the god tier music. Raiden is so fucking cool. I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for this game, purely for it being my first real venture into the character action genre. That being said, I do acknowledge a lot of the flaws with the title. Flaws that, at this point in time of 2013, were already solved, not just by other games, but other platinum titles like Bayonetta. DMC emphasizes cool, cocky combat. Bayonetta emphasized elegant, flowing combat. MGR is it's kind of in the middle. It's not as slow as Devil May Cry, not as elegant as Bayonetta, but it does flow quite well and makes you feel just as cool. I suppose more like Devil May Cry. That being said, the definite unique element of MGR is spectacle, as well as the Zandatsu mechanic. While Devil May Cry and Bayonetta to a lesser extent encourage use of different weapons, Metal Gear Rising encourages mastering the blade. Every weapon is pretty much just a different type of sword outside the sub-weapons of a pincer blade, a polearm, and size. Given the Zandatsu's prominence, swords being your one and only weapon makes sense. That being said, menuing to change sub-weapons, which do have unique attributes, is clunky as all hell. You have to go through a menu to switch them out, leading to the want to never use any of them. Personally, more often than not, I just stick with the polearm, but even beyond that, you have so much combo potential with the sword already, I don't even bother with that either most of the time. Even Devil May Cry 1 had a way to switch weapons without menuing. Albeit you had to stop all combat, and it wasn't really intuitive mid-combat at all, but it was there. By this reliance on menuing, leaving the combat for very, very clunky menus, players don't really want to switch out their weapons. I could make yet another point on lackluster ranking systems, but it's just as problematic and futile as Bayonetta and Devil May Cry 1. What holds Metal Gear Rising back from achieving greatness isn't its judgment of the player, despite its prevalence. It isn't a lack of presentation because, boy, it's got some presentation. It allows you to feel great, but not to the fullest extent it could. Because of this, even the ranking system judging you isn't the main issue hindering combat. MGR is more like a snack. Short, sweet, You enjoy it, and you enjoy it a lot, but it really leaves you wanting more. Raw style and presentation, but not in execution, with even less of a reason to truly bring the game to its fullest potential. While Devil May Cry 1 really introduced people to the perception of stylish combat, despite it being a massive lie that served no purpose, it was Devil May Cry 3 that defined this lie. Now, the big difference between 3 and 1 is that your combat actually contributes to your rank. Believe it or not. You're ranked based on stylish points, which takes your style during gameplay into consideration and tallies it up into a number. Along with that, you're judged on damage taken and items used. So just take no damage and use no healing items and be as stylish as possible, and you're Gucci. Except you're not. Time and red orbs calculation are also back. Why? Just cause. Putting added stress on players. So rather than thinking on their gameplay, they feel a need to rush. Must be super fun. Yet again, this is a massive limitation. However, it is a clear improvement from Devil May Cry 1. The game gives you these tools: style switching, as well as mid-combat weapon switching, with 2 weapons only, of your choice. It teases these fun, limitless possibilities, yet pulls them away. Is it better than Devil May Cry 1? 100%. Is it the pinnacle of style systems in games? Well, it could be, if they didn't demand elements outside combat, mean something in massive quotations, with these pointless mission rankings that serve no purpose whatsoever at the end of the day. Now, the elephant in the room here is that Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition on Switch addresses these problems. It adds on-the-fly style and weapon switching, as well as a weapon wheel, something unseen even in the latest entry, Devil May Cry 5, and it makes combat 10 times more fluid. However, to say that erases the underlying issue of the original that players spent years trying to perfect, even despite these flaws, would be to call the original, as influential as it is, pointless. The game and how it judges you is the same. You just have more options at your disposal, sure, but the element that hinders you most is still present at the end of the day. While Devil May Cry 3 had a glimpse at what could equate to probably one of the most efficient ways to rank a player based on combat, Devil May Cry 4 completely reverts back to Devil May Cry 1's level of style doesn't matter as much as it should. With its ranking, you're based off stylish points, clear time, and orbs found. Well, I'd say DMC3 ranked you based on too much. This sort of has the opposite effect of it has the perfect amount of things, being 3 things it ranks you on. It's just 2 out of 3 of these elements are not linked to the combat yet again. Stylish points? Yes, keep it. But time, red orbs, in a game where a separate system from red orbs allows you to buy items, makes them alone completely irrelevant. So not only is the style system and its emphasis on experimentation lessened due to the time being an element of rank, but the red orbs collected, exactly like in DMC1, serve literally no functional purpose, even as currency. At this point, you get it. Ranking systems are just bad so far. I probably sound like the most broken record possible. DMC4 has its own set of problems as well, beyond just ranking, we all know. Shoddy development time being the most prominent issue. The game is literally only halfway complete. You play as Nero, then do everything in reverse as Dante. Ranking system aside, this alone makes the fact that the combat system itself is so fucking good. So disheartening. But how could they fix it? Well, we'll find out in the next game.
You hear what I said, you dumb one-armed son of a bitch? You're gonna die!
Cheer up, crew cut. You taking notes? All right. Time to kick some ass.
Devil May Cry 5 is the pinnacle of Devil May Cry combat. The combat system is as perfect as it can be, and all three characters have unique assets and traits to appeal to everyone. Nero and his Devil Breakers allow for fun, angst-filled combat. Dante's is the smoothest and most stylish he's ever been, with fun weapons and plenty of variety given with the freeform style switching. V is the most unique, the most cunning and passive. He controls like a Devil May Cry character, yet his way of play is so unique and interesting, it is incomparable to not only anything in Devil May Cry, but any other game. Each combat system, each character in the game is so beautiful and fun. The game also focuses solely on style when it comes to ranking. This is all I asked for. No time limitation bullshit, no red orb collection. It's legitimately perfect. Despite all this, the style meter, the ranking system, still does not matter. It adds nothing but external motivation to the game. These three combat systems are so perfect that unless you are literally playing like a baby with no sense of what a video game even is, it is impossible to do poorly and look not stylish. The style meter does not matter. Ranking you does not matter. Some may say the fact that the game changes the music depending on your style adds a new layer and desire to be better and keep the rank up. And that is great. I love that system, but it doesn't make the system itself actually matter. People will praise a game for being stylish over a feature that doesn't add to the gameplay, doesn't allow good gameplay to just speak for itself. It makes you wonder if the style meter itself as a feature is just a second thought and still just in the series because it was shoddily implemented into Devil May Cry 1. Can the style meter matter and add to the gameplay? Yes. And it has. Not in Devil May Cry, but in Devil May Cry.
Get your filthy fucking claw off my trailer. Missed.
Now, the original version of Devil May Cry has just as vapid of an excuse for the style meter's existence as the rest of, the other Devil May Cry series, being that there wasn't one. No. It's in the definitive edition with its style-only mode. With this mode, as the name suggests, you need to be stylish. You cannot do damage to enemies unless you are at rank S of the style meter. It makes the system itself matter and affect your gameplay. You need to keep combos going. You need to not get hit. You need to be unique and as varied as possible in your combat. It makes this thing on the side of your screen actually serve a purpose, beyond tapping into your monkey brain that releases endorphins when the game says, "Good job!" The fact that this mode isn't an option in Devil May Cry 5, or even Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition, released around the same time, is an actual crime. So out of all these stylish action games that judge you constantly, only one truly makes this system legitimately matter. Style only shouldn't be the default, and only really works in the realms of Devil May Cry, which does have the grading-based system, as opposed to something like Bayonetta, where your ranking is shown, but in a lot more of a mathematical context. Even with this option, does the style meter still matter? Yes, if you have it selected, but otherwise, no. And I don't think it ever will. Now, at this point, it's clear. Style systems or ranking players based on creative combat is overall just a very flaccid method of encouraging players to be creative with combat. It's something that should just come naturally, even without the meter. The question is how exactly this type of ranking system got integrated so concretely into these kinds of games. Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. Resident Evil 4.
Lord Sattler.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
Devil May Cry didn't initially begin life as a Devil May Cry game. People know this. But it was initially going to be Resident Evil 4. However, it was seen as so drastically different to the past 3 games, it was entirely scrapped as Resi 4, but then transformed into Devil May Cry. The only logical reason I can think for the existence of the style meter and ranking you on a missionly basis is the fact that this was a feature in the previous Resident Evil games. Come players beating the games, they'd be given a clear time, a number of saves in total, and a rank based off those. I believe in a game such as Resident Evil, this system is somewhat justified. You have a set route, and so the appeal of the system allows players to want to improve their clear time and get the highest ranks possible. On top of all of this, the players are rewarded for getting faster times, getting new weapons to play around with, infinite ammo, and costumes. With this encouragement to actually learn the game more, players are, in a sense, adding style to Resident Evil in the form of speedrunning, and are being genuinely gratified for it. Resident Evil and Devil May Cry are two drastically different forms of games, however. Ranking in RE is like ranking in a Sonic the Hedgehog game. However, when Devil May Cry boasts these in-depth, limitless combat systems, it judges you on elements that aren't actually part of that system. It's like being judged for how many reps you can do on a bench press when you're doing strength training and you're using your 1 rep max. It's the worst fucking analogy I could have came up with, but I'm gonna keep it anyway. The point is, RE is about learning the game and getting from point A to point B. It's linear once you figure it out. But Devil May Cry is more than that. Its combat is so varied that these outside elements such as time should not and could not realistically be judged alongside your combat. Some may argue that style and ranking systems still do matter because it gives players a basis on their quality. This basis, however, is just merely a foundation and not the limit. While Devil May Cry saw the style system as an excuse to encourage varied gameplay, you don't need this or any system as long as the communication of the mechanics are good. Style can be communicated without these needless additions. Let's look at some examples.
They are rage, brutal, without mercy. But you will be worse. Rip and tear until it is done.
Doom 2016 makes you feel like a badass immediately as you rip and tear your way through the armies of hell. The glory kill mechanic alone shows you that the purpose of this game is style. No meters, no rankings, just pure cathartic gameplay. It isn't a pushover at the same time. Your arsenal grows just as big as your PP does as you destroy everything in your sight, and so does the difficulty and beefiness of the enemies. The gameplay is that pure, raw, enraged feeling of Metal Gear Rising, all without the judgment and with all the fun included. Zero sugar, full taste. Doom 2016 was good, but how do you take the admittedly not very complex gameplay of it and make it better? Doom Eternal. Adding enemy weaknesses, a dash, vault pulls, a flamethrower for added armor gives you all the tools and maneuverability you need to feel as stylish as possible. Unlike in 2016 where the simplicity served to make you feel cool, with Eternal the complexity serves to make you feel just as good. Both feel unique and you can definitely see an appeal to one over the other, or even view them on par. They are similar yet different, and they both feel great to play. Persona 5 bleeds style. The music, the gameplay, the character designs, everything down to the HUD is just style. From the second you watch the opening cinematic, you are ready to become a phantom thief of heart. One underappreciated aspect of the style in this game I feel is actually the skull sim element. You can just be horny and ignore everything but the gut stats, so Dr. Legs will step on you later into the game. But when assuming the role of Joker, doing everything in life purely for the purpose of your team and growing in strength, you feel just as cunning as that ever-present take your time loading screen makes your character look. Persona 5 may not have fast, fluid combat of any of the other games before, but it has just as much variety and options in how you can go about things. It may be a slower burn experience, but makes you feel just as good, especially with effective gameplay and time management. Dark Souls is hard. On the first playthrough of any of these games, chances are initially you'll be a bit discouraged. While this is the case, instant reward or understanding of style in a game isn't always the case, like with Persona 5 or Doom. Dark Souls takes a legitimate understanding of its mechanics and knowledge of the game before you can play it efficiently. And when you do, and everything just clicks, it can feel great. Learning bosses over the course of several deaths until you succeed doesn't nullify the victory. It feels good and very well earned. On a second playthrough, you may just fly through the game with the character being leveled up and having your big boy weapons. It can feel cheap, but quite cathartic at the same time after the initial playthrough. Bloodborne introduced these mechanics with a much more aggressive form of gameplay. One that wasn't, but could have been communicated in the series with 1 and 2. By being fast and being aggressive and having a goddamn gun rather than a shield, players are automatically encouraged and taught that offense is the best defense. Dodge efficiently, be quick, and you will succeed. It makes the player feel good. Beyond this, there's another form of style in the games. The level up system. Effectively telling the player, play how you want. It may not show in the combat too much with the mainly press R1, but you have options. You can have any build you want. Mage, tank, stamina, dex, strength. It seems overwhelming initially and takes some research to understand, but when you do and can play these games how you see fit, that's where the style comes in. It is earned.
Fisk.
There is just an inherent, indescribable feel to the idea of swinging around as Spider-Man. The game to cement this in the minds of the people was Spider-Man 2. As the game begins, you have free rein to do essentially whatever the fuck you want. You can play the story, but it's no surprise that, to many, simply swinging around New York, mastering these mechanics, is the core appeal of the game.
The white dot on your map here and the white destination marker are both pointing you to the pizza parlor. You'll need to get over there at some point, but there's no rush.
It's got a low skill ceiling, it takes quite a bit of getting used to, but once one is, the fun is simply in getting around, traversing the city with skill, style, and grace. It's fantastic, and entirely up to the player to do, however they like. It's free. I want to also give mention to Web of Shadows, which cranks web swinging speed and vertical movement up to 11, having tokens to make it faster. It seems a lot simpler at first glance compared to Spider-Man 2, however, with tricks, wall running, and wall jumping adds just as much depth to a much more unrealistic form of the movement. Just as Web of Shadows took web swinging and made it more cartoonish while taking away none of the fun, Spider-Man PlayStation 4 bumped up the realism. While I do believe this to be the weakest of the free systems I've talked about, web zipping, wall running, all in this incredibly photorealistic replica of New York City bump up the style in its own unique way, even without the amount of mechanical depth and skill that the other two have. The point I want to get across with this segment is that the idea of traversal like this is just inherently stylish. Even when the mechanics are somewhat basic, the natural appeal is still there. Players just feel free and cool while web swinging, and given the character in question adds to the experience. They don't need to be told to go out and swing, they just naturally want to, because it's fun. So I've been very critical of the timer in action games, however, this doesn't mean timers can't have a place in video games. To say they don't have a place would be a really fruitless argument, in all honesty. Especially with the existence of speedrunning. I already spoke of Resident Evil and its use of the timer. However, the most clear-cut use of it is the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise.
So, there's more to you than just looking like me. What are you, anyway?
What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventure. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog.
I see. But you know, I can't let you live. Your adventure days are coming to an end.
The point of most Sonic games is just to get from the start of the level to the end. A to B as fast as possible, and mastery of the levels to do so is its own reward. That said, when that is the point of the game, and that is all the game ranks you on, really, you reach that same sort of DMC5 issue of, cool, got an S rank, but I don't really feel anything. While the timer rank here does matter, more so than Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, it still contains just as much usefulness as those games, unless that is what the player is seeking out. Learning the stages and playing them as quickly or stylishly as possible, just like that inherent Spider-Man appeal, is the reward of the rank itself. The final argument I want to make here is that when it comes to these ranking systems, gameplay helps supplement the existence of the systems, however, not the other way around. The ranking system means nothing to gameplay, however, it means everything to the ranking system. It begs the question, why should these ranking systems exist? It's an element outside that of gameplay that serves no purpose to improving it by existing. It may feel as though it does, because the game is saying you're doing great, yet games that don't have these systems can feel just as good upon mastery, if not better. The entire point of Devil May Cry is style. However, this is not exclusive to the series. Style can be anything. Games are not like films or books where you can re-experience it, and while you may notice new elements, they are largely the same. With games, you can play however you want, be that intentional on the developer's part or not. It's when a player takes the mechanics and does with them what they want that style, their style of play, truly matters. Style in games is a feeling, not something that can be taught or ranked. You can see the potential for it in any game if you look hard enough, regardless of if it ranks you on it or not. Majora's Mask is my favorite game. I've done too many playthroughs to count, glitchless, glitches 100%, any percent, and free heart runs. The game doesn't encourage doing these, yet I do them and feel just as satisfied playing how I feel. When you love a game and you want to bring out all the possibilities possible in it, style is there. If variety and freedom in gameplay is what creates style, such as Devil May Cry's meter suggests, then restricting said freedom mentally by judging players' gameplay inherently goes against what these systems suggest. I'm aware that this video may seem very negative. However, it really isn't. I simply wish to challenge common perception of these systems. Style in gameplay is what one makes of it, not what the game suggests to be style. I will continue to play these games and continue to love them myself. I don't see much worth in getting all S ranks or platinums in Devil May Cry or Bayo. However, it would be hypocritical to say that if you see them as having worth, you're less valid for it. I see no worth given the freedom granted to me as a player, but someone else may find tremendous gratification in completing the game like this. The worth of a game doesn't go away once you've 100%ed it or once the credits roll. Worth and what is seen as replay ability is purely up to players. They have complete control over how, when, and why they play these games. Complete control over their life. Isn't that what these systems suggest? That doing things how you want is what gives you, the player, freedom and style. In the script I didn't have an outro, however I do want to say, if you made it all the way through this video, thank you. I know it's kind of a silly little video about a weird opinion and thoughts that I just had while playing Dark Souls one day. But this has been a pretty fun project to make for me. I haven't started editing as of recording this, but as a first big, in quotation marks, project, I hope it's enjoyable and people can take away some things from it. So yeah, thank you for watching the video, and I'll hopefully, be less lazy, because this took a while, not because of difficulty making it, just me being a lazy piece of shit. Have a good day, night, whatever, and I will hopefully have more projects coming soon. Bye.